Hi everyone, this is Summer Garcia and this is my project-based learning review on chapters 3, 4, and 5. So chapter 3 was all about imagining the possibilities, just choosing what is most important for the child to learn. And that came with identifying the core concepts or projects and developing these ideas that you would like to convey by researching your core standards, learning your standards, and then trying to incorporate projects that could integrate different standards, not just different standards, but also different subject material, like putting math and science together, or history and English, or just different types of integration, I guess. You can even use wikis. It gave a really cool guide, and just having the children reflect on why those concepts are important. Connecting to real-world situations. It's not good to just create a project that the children aren't going to find meaningful. And that comes with planning for rigor and digital skills. You must think, how will these students use concepts to develop important skills, attitudes, and habits of mind through these projects? Educators can ensure the children fulfill an understanding of the concept by using Bloom's taxonomy, which I'm sure a lot of us have used in a lot of different education classes. Just having the children use the concepts of remembering, understanding, applying, and analyzing, evaluating, and creating, and learning those levels, so that way you can see how hard that you are pushing the students. So if you're just basing like level 1 questions for projects of like remembering or reflecting, that's not going to challenge the students versus evaluating and creating. So keeping in mind of how much rigor you want to put into a specific project-based learning assignment is important. Keep in mind your student's mind. Think, why should the child care? You know, why is this going to be important to them? Have the students research, make the ideas visible, and express these ideas creatively was a lot of the theme that I saw in this chapter. Projects need to invite collaboration and tools and services that'll help the children learn together, which I thought was really cool. Another part of the essential learning in the chapter 3 was learning about the functions, which was researching, having the children's research. When students interact with experts, they can examine these primary sources. So having them using those functions is going to push their understanding of a subject. Making the ideas visible again. Students can capture data using Google Drive. They can use Zoho Creator, and basically these tools are all so that students can embellish projects to make them more meaningful and interactive, so that they're not just the same PowerPoints, which is kind of one of the things that I saw. Like, you know, we don't just want to make the children make PowerPoints and explain something. We really want them to dive into the importance and letting them get creative as well. Reflection and iteration, encouraging reflection and cycles of improvement. That kind of thoughtful reflection that the child can have to see what could they have done better, what did they do well, and encourage that. And you can encourage that by setting up blogs so students can get their thinking out on the table. Chapter 4 was pretty short, but really interesting because it talked a lot about the strategies for discovery. This came with creating projects. Instead of creating projects for students that seem appealing, pay attention to the quality of the student experience, which I thought was just so important, because we don't just want to have the students put a bunch of pictures on a project or on a PowerPoint, but having them do, you know, we don't want them to just talk about, growing plants. We might want them to instead actually go to the store, research how to make a plant or how to grow a plant, what is needed, and then having them grow plants in the classroom so they get that experience. If the project is long and busy but reaches small learning aims, it's not worth your time or the child's time. And if the student project is Googleable, this is an indication of lower learning project. We don't want them to just say like, okay, well, this is how you grow a plant and this is what you're going to do. We want to show, well, what happens when you grow a plant in the classroom versus outside or in different parts of the school? You know, what does the sunlight matter? Does, just finding those variables that they're not going to just be able to Google is really important, because it's going to be high quality and it's going to be more interactive for the students. Design terrific projects and just getting started. Use interdisciplinary methods to combine various standards into a specific theme. To really engage learners, you have to set up a situation in which they want to ask questions, need to know something, and believe it is really important to them and their community to find out. One of my projects, I'm thinking back as a student, was Colonial Day, and I don't know why, but I just really liked that time, and I really felt like it was so important for us in the school to learn about how the colonial lives, and we were able to make different foods that they had and dolls, and it really was so interactive, and we got to dress the part, and I feel like that was a really big thing at my schools, to get everyone to really dive into the time, not just read about the time, but actually pretend we were in that situation. One of the things that I saw were through research was the children creating a greenhouse. So that caused the students to construct meaning, reach beyond school to involve others into this greenhouse that they created to make up vegetables. And it's realistic. That's another thing. You don't want to, talk about making a robot and never actually make it, because, hey, we can't do that, or we don't have the technology. But these students were able to, use different recyclable materials to make a greenhouse, and it was something that they were able to do throughout the semester. So, and it's has the students working as inquiring experts, and they're structured so students can learn with and from each other.
For the bakery door.
Where do project ideas come from? Good projects can come from anywhere. The teacher must utilize these various programs in order to provide rich content. And the book I love this book because it gave so many examples. I don't even need to go into it because I'm sure you read it. But I loved how many resources I was getting just from the book and from this class too. Chapter 5 was making assessment meaningful. We don't just want to grade like, oh, okay, this looks like you did a really good job and there's a lot of pictures on this, blah, blah, blah. We want to make sure that we're grading with their experience in mind, with how much work was put into a specific project. And also, we don't want to just grade at the end of the project, but looking at the process and seeing, are those children making each check mark, doing certain things that they're supposed to do. By taking advantage of assessment opportunities, teachers help students learn a great deal more than leaving an assessment till the end. The main purpose of assessments are measuring students' learning in a summative way and evaluation of the quality of the project so it can be even better next time. So you want to make sure that you shape your learning goals, evidence, project activities in response to one another so you end up with a cohesive plan. Project-based learning teachers often grade a culminating project. They evaluate these along with milestone assignments against a rubric. Obviously, we have college rubrics. One thing, I love to have a rubric because it shows me my expectations, or what my expectations are as a student. But one thing that I noticed is I didn't really get a lot of rubrics as a kid in elementary school and middle school, and I really wish I did, because I used to do projects and I had no idea what I needed to write about, how I needed to write, what I needed to do. And once I got into college and I really started getting rubrics all the time, I had a clear understanding of what my expectations were, what did I need to write about, how did I need to go about it, and it just made life so much easier. And it made me more organized. So a rubric is a scoring tool that communicates expectations around concept attainment and growth in skills and processes. So keeping those in mind and letting the children know what your expectations are, what the content standards are, what you need to make sure that they achieve is going to help them stay organized and stick to what they're supposed to do. Having the children, checking in on when the children start, like in brainstorming. Use brainstorming to draw out what students know and care about. And having them, this is kind of their rough draft stage, but those are things that you can look for to see what their process was, to see, okay, what's the beginning? The middle part was like I read the coffee talks, concept maps, and exit slips, the concepts that show ideas and relationships between ideas. The coffee talks are informal groups that allow students to develop their ideas. It kind of comes off of brainstorming, so the children can really zero in on like, okay, what are we talking about? What's important to us? And then exit slips allowed them to reflect on what they've spoken about. You can grade this kind of reflection by having them set up an e-portfolio for their project, or even a blog. I thought this chart was really cool. You want to keep this chart in mind. What is their objective, the activities, what approaches might they take to go from not knowing to knowing, and the evidence, and always keeping these connected. Here are some examples of rubrics. And that is my slideshow. So thank you for listening. Have a great day.